Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and these are my very favorite ones. These are the GSU E&I radio episodes where we spotlight folks coming either through or around the GSU E&I program. Today on the show, we have Meridith Rose with HomeTele SLP. Welcome, Meridith.
Hi, good morning, Lee. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm so excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about your company. How you serving folks?
So HomeTele SLP provides speech-language evaluations and speech-language therapy via teletherapy. And it is person-centered, family-centered, and culturally responsive. So we provide those services to pediatric populations ages 3 to 18 in both the states of Georgia and Florida.
So what was kind of the genesis of the idea? How did you get started with this?
Well, it's kind of funny. Actually, my journey to becoming a speech and language pathologist started over 20 years ago following the diagnosis of my youngest brother's his diagnosis with autism spectrum disorder. And so that's where my journey towards speech language pathology started. And I had a strong passion in not only helping my brother to communicate, but children like him. And so I've been a pediatric speech and language pathologist for the past 15 years and have often worked privately outside of a full-time job in providing services to children and their families. However, the pandemic changed that a little bit. And so I had to pivot from providing in-home services to teletherapy services. So that was the genesis of HomeTele SLP.
Now, what is kind of, so how does the practice work? So a person has a child that is suffering or needs some help in this area and they contact you, and then is this kind of just online, or how are you communicating with them, and how does it work?
Yes. So parents will often reach out to me. I have free 30-minute consults that I provide to parents of children who may have a communication disorder, but children who have a speech or language disorder, pretty easy to identify. A parent may notice that their child produces speech that is unclear, or maybe they have a younger child and they're not making sounds or gestures, or they're using very few words. They're not easily understood, or they have difficulty understanding others, or perhaps it's more so about their social skills, or even older kids. Maybe they have trouble with their writing skills and having conversational skills. So typically a parent will reach out to me for a consult. We'll schedule an evaluation, and then from there we start treatment.
Now, in your work, when you're working with a child, what are some of the activities that are going to go on during the kind of the work that you're doing?
So depending on the child's area of weakness, we're going to target those areas by developing individualized goals. So let's say the child is having difficulty with their receptive language skills, following directions. We work on skills that help with that area. Or, for example, expressive language skills. Maybe they have difficulty answering WH questions, or who, what, where questions, or even just putting words together in a fluid manner. So we help with both expressive, receptive language skills, social skills, and writing skills, oral language skills, and writing skills as well.
Now, is this something that it's a everyday thing, every week thing? Does it take forever to like is this a lifelong journey, or is sometimes your work can help people kind of get over a hump and then they can do some self-work on their own and just improve organically over time?
Every child is different. No child is exactly the same. And so some children have communication disorders that are mild in terms of their severity. Others may have moderate to severe disorders. So every child's treatment plan is different, but typically a child may receive 30-minute sessions twice a week, once a week, depending on if their progressing in their in their therapy session. So the time will change depending on that child. In terms of how long they're in therapy, that is something that also depends.
Now, when they're working for you, is this something that the child enjoys? Is this something that becomes something that's fun for the child? Because I remember with my child, he was having some speech issues when he was very young, and he worked with the school speech pathologist, and he loved it. It was like one of the favorite parts of his day. So do you kind of create your therapy in an enjoyable manner for the children, or is this something like, oh, I got to do this?
Absolutely, it is enjoyable. We focus on providing therapy that is fun and functional. So while we are targeting goals and objectives to help improve the child's communication skills, we're also implementing positive reinforcement. And so by knowing what things interest the child, those interests can be incorporated into our therapy sessions to increase engagement.
Now, is this something that affects a lot of children and maybe goes undiagnosed and they don't take it seriously? But I would imagine if you kind of nip it at the bud early, you're really going to have a lot of benefits for the child moving forward.
Yes, that is true. Early intervention is always key. According to the National Institute of Health, we know that nearly 1 in 12 or 7.7% of U.S. children between the ages of 3 and 17 has a disorder that's related to speech, language, voice, or swallowing. So these are disorders that impact, a lot of our children.
And then is it something that usually the parent identifies this, or the pediatrician, or is it the teacher or somebody at their school?
During, for example, you mentioned a pediatrician. During an annual physical, a pediatrician may ask the parent questions related to their child's speech and language. And during those conversations, that child may be referred. If not, a parent may just have concerns having other children in their family. So maybe their child is the youngest. So they know that developmentally, there are milestones that their child may not be meeting as early as their other children. So that may be something that prompts them to explore whether or not therapy is needed. And as you also mentioned, teachers in our educational system, they are very keen on knowing if there's something happening at times related to speech and language that may be impacting that child academically. And so oftentimes in the school systems, referrals are also made.
Now, in your work, can you share a story maybe of a child that came to you? Obviously, don't name their name, but maybe share what the challenge was and how you were able to help them get to a new level?
Oh, my goodness. There's so many. So many children. If I could think of one, there was a child who had very difficult time in producing clear speech. This child had apraxia of speech, and a lot of his vocalizations consisted of vowels. So there weren't a lot of consonant sounds, which made it hard to decipher what he was trying to say. And it was very amazing because over a 6-month period of time, he went from using vowels to using syllables to using words to phrases to sentences. And it's just so exciting to see a child make, progress in a way that impacts not only their ability to, make their wants and needs known, but it also is very affirming for the family to see that their child is able to communicate with them and their peers and their family.
Now, this must be such rewarding work for you to be able to make that kind of impact, like you said, not just on the child, but on the family as well. And it could change the whole trajectory of that child's life if they kind of can take care of this early and really get the improvement that you described. You must feel really good every day waking up and doing this kind of work.
It's extremely rewarding. I have a few families that have kept in contact with me over the past 15 years, students that I worked with when they were a preschool age that are now in college or in the military. And it's just been really nice to see over the years. Some of these families have kept in contact with me and reached out to me if their child needed assistance here and there. It's just a beautiful a beautiful thing to witness, a wonderful profession to be a part of. And I consider it a blessing to be able to impact the lives of children and their families.
Now, how did you get involved with the Main Street Fund? How did that get on your radar?
I remember learning about Main Street and specifically E&I through GSU during my graduate student orientation fall of last year. And so it all started there. And once I found out that they were accepting applications for their third cohort, I applied and here I am.
Now, what have you gotten out of it? Has this been helpful as you grow your business?
Yes, this has been extremely helpful. I've received a lot of coaching to help me with identifying my customer. I've received a lot of help financially, even with my business, to help me to get it off the ground and to start to gain traction. I've learned quite a bit about how to, pitch my business. And so everything that I've learned over the past 6 months in Main Street has been, I think, very instrumental to where I am now.
So what do you need more of? How can we help you?
I need more exposure. I need for people to know about HomeTele SLP, what we do, why we're here, and we're here to help.
And if somebody wants to learn more, what's the website? What's the best way to find you and get a hold of you to have a more substantive conversation?
Our website is HomeTele SLP, HomeTele SLP.com. And you can follow us on social media at HomeTele SLP.
And that's HomeTeleSLP.com.
That is correct.
Well, Meridith, congratulations on all the success and the momentum. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much for your time, Lee.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on GSU ENI Radio.
Today's episode of Atlanta Business Radio is brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com.